this, viewers. Who's broke, stacks no bands, and can only afford free VR games? The answer is you! And me, and yeah, also me. I've talked about a plethora of free games in the past because I, like many of you, share an unfortunate life debuff known as unaffordable living costs. Luckily, I'm a room dweller that lives with my parents, but that doesn't change the fact that we're all living off pennies and buttons. So, in these trying times, we must seek an alternative. It's free stuff. You've read the title. It's free stuff. Gun Raiders, hit phenomenon, and when I say hit, I mean more so in the sense of stubbing your toe. Shooters are nothing new to VR. In fact, they're pretty damn intrusive. Boot up Steam or Quest or whatever and look at the store. I bet you right now it's about half full of shooters. Now, that's not to say that shooters are bad, far from it. But with a medium SODI versus VR, it kinda does blow when a majority of its games are something that doesn't really push the boundaries of VR enough as they should. So, why am I here talking about this one specifically? Aside from the algorithm-friendly title, that joke will be way less funny when this video gets under 1,000 views, Gun Raiders is a genuinely great VR shooter with some disappointingly upsetting flaws. But I'm here to sing its praises first because it's pretty deserving of it, and hey, I hid 2 or 3 Gun Raider coin voucher codes across this video, so watch all the way through. However, before we get any further into the video, let me take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Kiwi Design. If you've been around the VR space at all, then you know just how popular Kiwi is among VR users. I, for one, never got a chance to vouch for that claim until today. Kiwi sent me 3 beautiful products. One was an extra that they were supposed to send me and I will be hoarding. These being the Comfort battery head strap and link cable. Y'all probably didn't know this, but I've been running off Airlink for the entirety of this channel, meaning yes, I've suffered more than the South Tower. But this all changed when I was sent this beautiful cable from the gods, and this, it just not even a bit, makes making videos so much more fun, because I don't constantly have to be looking at the Lag Lagoon. And the head strap, which, oh my god, they did it. Sex 2. I did not think they could make a head strap that is both comfortable and feels like nothing's there at all. And the battery is an obvious plus. I mean, what's so bad about 4 extra hours of VR? Besides back problems. And astigmatism. Okay, maybe there's a lot. You can check out all these products and more using the link in the description, which, by the way, buying a product from that link will directly support me. No joke, that'll actually help me out a lot. So if you want to help the channel, then buying a Kiwi product using my link is a great way. Thank you to Kiwi Design for sponsoring the video, and let's get back to it. Anyways, before we get into deeper detail about the game, let me give a brief overview of what this game's about. Gun Raiders is a VR shooter that's more aerial focused, more so than boots on the ground style like other typical shooters. With a jetpack strapped to your back, those little feet of yours will be lifted off the ground most of the time. You've got a wide selection of guns ranging from your average rifle, SMG, shotgun, to melee weapons like a knife and katana, and some LSD picks like Big Fist and a flamethrower. This game has multiple modes like Team Deathmatch, Capture the Flag, stuff like that, but that's only a third of this game's main modes. When you spawn into Gun Raiders, you'll be in a safe little hub where your locker, item shop, and other adjacent stuff will be. Step outside this hub, though, and you will be sent to a large, open battleground where a continuous and never-ending free-for-all takes place. Well, what's so different about this compared to Deathmatch? You see, Deathmatches take place on these small run-of-the-mill maps, whereas these hubs are, for one, connected directly to a lobby with all the game essentials present. 2, are way more open and intricate than any Deathmatch map, usually being about 10 times the size of your average map. 3, it's themed around the current season of the game. Also, it's insane ADHD prevention, as instead of booting into a game, waiting for that to load, and then getting into the action, you just are in the action. The game loads you into these hubs, meaning if you don't care a lot about typical shooter game modes, you just play. I'm looking at the word count of this video and I already know it's going to be way too long, so let's get to the guns themselves. There's still many game mechanics to cover, but it is a shooter after all, so let's talk about the guns first. The weapons in Gun Raiders come down to 3 categories: guns, melee, and bullshit. We're starting out with the guns. Most of the guns in this game are pretty typical most of the time. Rifles, SMGs, shotgun, all that jazz feels about like you expect. I really shouldn't have said those plurally though, because there's only one of each, which makes it so there's not a lot of clutter with weapon selection, since you can pick any gun at any time. Sniper is your average sniper, and for that it's automatically a really satisfying gun. However, the sniper is greatly nerfed for just being in this game. For one thing, it's way harder to land shots with the more aerial combat focus this game takes. You usually won't be hitting many shots with the help of stealth, because for one thing, as I mentioned before, people are moving around a lot than in boots on the ground games, and number 2, there's not really spots you can take anywhere to sit still and line up a good shot, as there's not enough small places for you to kind of hide around due to the openness of this game's maps. Headshots are still satisfying though. The Uzis and dual pistols kind of work the same. Obviously, to get the most damage out of these weapons, you'll be needing to use both at the same time. When you land shots with both of the individual pistols, you will rack up a ton of damage. However, this requires lots more skill, as now you've lost the ability to aim at a direct point with ease, since you can't line up both guns to your eyes at the same time. But when you do get used to the way you have to aim and start landing a lot of shots, these become some of the most fun guns in the game. But before I talk about more guns, now's the time I talk about a little game mechanic in this game called I don't know what it's called actually, but here's how it works. On a few weapons, there will be a toggle to change how the gun works. For example, we have the shotgun with 4 rounds. You can shoot each round individually like normal without having to cock it until you run out of the 4 rounds, or you can press a button to toggle how that gun works. In this version B, version of the gun I'll call it, when you shoot it fires all 4 bullets at once, meaning it does way more damage, way quicker, with the downside being you now have to cock it with each shot. That's not how it works for every gun though. The minigun works exactly how you think it does, high fire rate, the whole 9 yards, but when toggling version B, the fire rate heavily decreases with each bullet now becoming an explosive round that drains more ammo but does more damage. Most of the version Bs of guns will work the same way with this kind of high risk, high reward factor to it, but some basically turn it into a whole new gun. Case in point, the grenade launcher. It's a grenade launcher. But when toggled, the grenades turn into smoke grenades, or I think poison grenades now. I think they changed it. I'm pretty sure it's poison now, so the way it works is the same, except the explosive radius doesn't do initial damage. Rather, it stays on for a few seconds as smog that damages people over time when walked in. While we're at it, let's cover the mechanics, because there's actually a few. The jetpack is obvious, no real explanation there, but the dash is where things get a little bit spicy. With the flick of the right thumbstick, you will do a dash in the current direction you're walking towards at the cost of fuel. Fuel powers both the dash, jetpack, and glide, which I'll talk about in a second. This dash can mainly be used to close the gap between enemies, or do the opposite and act sort of like a panic button you can activate to fall back. The glide is really self-explanatory. You spread your arms, and boom, you glide. Climbing is simple on paper until you realize it's actually the coolest fucking thing ever. So you can climb on any surface, blah blah blah, but if you thrust your arm and release, you will go flying, and it's super fun to do. Is it practical? I mean, kinda. Is it fun? Absolutely. Sliding is in here, but it's also completely and entirely useless, so who cares? Anyways, all these mechanics combine into something that creates an incredible sense of flow. These aren't individual moves. You can dash and then fly, fly and then dash, fly and then glide, do all these and then climb, or climb beforehand, and that's what gives this game such a good feeling of fluidity and rhythm. And now I talk about melee weapons. Melee weapons are the shit, man. Guns are fun and all, don't get me wrong, but melee weapons are where things get more unique. And frankly, more fun. There's a few to work with: the knife, katana, gauntlet, scythe, and riot shield. The knife is the most basic of the selection. It's short, does decent damage, and you can use it as a throwing knife. The katana is where things get good though. First off, with it being a sword, off rip, it's already fun. Swinging it, hitting people, all that, it's fun. It does have a cool gimmick though in the form of this meter. The more you hit people, the more it fills up. Holding down trigger will begin draining this meter, giving the sword a glowing red aura that makes it do more damage. The version B of it has the same principle, except that being a damage multiplier, it actually heals you. You can also block bullets with a katana, but it's pretty hard to do. But when you hear a little clink sound, oh, it's absolutely beautiful. The gauntlets are my personal favorite melee weapon because it's essentially the katana, but better. You get these 2 giant metal fists that you can rock people's shit with, and it feels great. The larger size of it also means it's easier to block bullets with. The actual damage output is lower than that of the katanas, but the trade-off works, being more defensive than the katana while still remaining a good offensive pick. The version B of the gauntlets is for mobility. The gauntlets shrink greatly in size and allow you to basically use a Fortnite shockwave grenade on command and in the air. The riot shield is the most boring just because it's just a shield. But it's actually still better than you would think. First off, it works like a normal shield, easy to block bullets, but the more bullets you shield, the higher its meter builds. Activating meter gives the shield a spike wall, making it easier for you to hit players, meaning the thing could be used as an actual weapon. The version B is probably so ass that I cannot even remember what it does, sorry. The scythe is the newest one, and it's easily the most unique. As a melee weapon without its gimmick, it works basically identical to the katana, but the meter is where things get interesting. I'm gonna start with version B because I'm not entirely sure what version A does. I'll give a guess afterwards though. There's actually no meter, rather you kind of manually charge the meter yourself. Hold the trigger and the scythe will charge up. Doing so will drain your health for however long you keep it held. Releasing the trigger will shoot a projectile from the scythe, and if it hits someone, that health that you lost will be regained. Version A, I'm assuming, is a damage multiplier. It works the same way, it drains health and all that, so I'm assuming it just means the next hit does more damage. It's really fun and is the biggest form of high risk, high reward in the game. And those are the weapons I felt like talking about. If you made it this far, you clearly enjoy, so drop a sub as that's the best way to help the channel. Anyways, I've talked mostly good about the game, but there are some faults that can't be overlooked. First off, the community sucks, but it's not really a social game, so I just mute everyone anyways. Second, there's a shocking amount of skins that are just knockoffs. I'm sure you've seen some watching this video, but it is really just jarring to see these blatant knockoffs. Listen, I'm not gonna pretend like this is the worst thing ever, because in all honesty, I don't care too much. I just think it's very lazy and makes the game feel like those older mobile games that would have knockoff skins in the game. It's not a good look. And wow, would you look at that, it is on mobile. Huh. The hit detection in this game reeks. Guns are mostly fine. I feel like when I get hit, I actually got hit, and when I hit people, I hit them. It works most of the time. But the melee weapons... What happened? Melee combat is already decent fun, but I think it'd go from decent fun to something actually competent and impressive if the hit detection was better. Okay, most of the time, when I hit someone, it registers. That's not the problem. The problem is, I should not get hit over half of the time when I get hit. This isn't a skill issue or anything, genuinely. If I get hit, it's whatever, but when looking at footage, that clearly shows me dying to a guy that was 10 feet in front of me. Something's not working. Melee combat doesn't get to have a lot of competitive depth because it just doesn't work. It doesn't help that this has been a problem since day one, and the devs continue to incentivize melee combat and add stuff when, frankly, the hit detection system sucks a lot of the fun away from it. Melee combat is fun, let me set the record straight on that. However, what is not fun is being in a sword duel with a guy and he wins for... I don't know, but he shouldn't hit me there. It just makes me not want to fight katana people with katanas or gauntlet people with gauntlets and so on. If the hit detection was fixed, this game would probably jump an entire letter grade up, but for now... I wouldn't call it something that completely ruins the game, as melee combat is only a fraction of this whole game, and is something I've kind of learned to accept. But I can imagine this being the breaking point for many others, and calling the game off as just another cheaply made VR game, which sucks because, well, it's not. Gun Raiders is a good game. I wouldn't be making a video on it if I truly didn't like it. However, there are some very clear issues that need to be addressed for this game to be up there as one of the greats. The guns are cool, but aren't special and nowhere near match the quality of those present in other shooters like Pavlov, Contractors, you name it. The hit detection is something that did make me quit at the start, but I came back to it and enjoyed it. Most people won't do that. The skins are something relatively inoffensive, but make it blend into those other cheaply made mobile games. This game has flaws. Will they fix them? Ones I've mentioned specifically? Probably not. These issues have been present for years. I don't have much faith that they will be fixed. Which means we have to judge the game as is. And as is? It's like really close to a 7 out of 10. I know I've said all this stuff about it, but it really is just fun. I've mentioned this before, but the game has a lot of flaws. If I enjoy the game regardless, I'm not gonna have an objective score to it. I think it's fun. I just think it could be even better. Oh yeah, there's also Battle Royale, and it's alright, I guess. Hey, if you made it into the video, hello, this is not scripted Zach, so I'm gonna speak like shit. This video was fun to make. I liked it. It was cool. I've actually been wanting to make this video for a while, but I wanted to make more videos so this one is something that's literally been on my mind since like the first best free Quest games video, like late 2023 or whenever that video came. I don't even remember. Anyway, shout out Kiwi Design for sponsoring the video. They genuinely make good products. They didn't like pay me to like actually say anything concrete about it. I could call it shit and they couldn't do anything about it, genuinely. But no, I genuinely think it's quality shit. I really like it. I really do. If you could, please, you know, we don't got money. Well, you know, so it's chill if you can't, but if you're able to buy a product from Kiwi, use the link in the description and it'll help me out. I get it if you can't, it's no big deal, but, you know, just know that it supports me directly. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video, which will probably be soon, so subscribe.